this worksheet deals with traditional sales over 12-month period, number of different reps that we have, and their totals. So for most, this would suffice as being a standard, here you go type worksheet. What we want to go with this, or how far, the area that we want to go with on this is we want to be able to look at each of the months and see how much we've done up to that point. Now, I'll show you the done version of this so you get an idea of what we're doing here. I want to be able to look at, let's say, March, and say that in March we did 84,000, all right? But up to that point, we did 85, 83 plus 84, which gave us this 254,000. I want to look at the end of June and say that as of June, we did 79,000 in June, but we did almost $500,000 already by June. Okay, so now how do we make this happen? All right, how do we get this, like, what we call a running total to appear off to the side? Well, it's a very simple set of formula that we do. There's actually another way to do this using the sum function, and what I'm going to do as an added bonus to this video is I'm going to show you both ways, and then you can kind of make up your mind as to which one makes more sense to you to use. And anytime that you end up with a worksheet that has some sort of a time element to it, then the running total is a perfect complement to that. All right, so let's go back to the running total original here. I'm going to start here now. The first way of doing this would be to say, okay, the running total for January is just January's total. All right, so all we need to do is somehow get this number to be linked over here. So if later on anything changes here, that changes and that changes, right? So all we have to do here is put our equal in, click onto that number, and it will then link that number to column J, just like that, all right? So there it is. So if anything changes here, it changes this, this will change, all right? Now that's your first formula, but that's not the big one here. Next one down, starting in February, the running total in February is not only going to be the total we did in February, but also the total we did in January. Now, if I just try to do a formula where I say take this plus that, it'll come out just fine. But when I copy it down, the formula will change from this range to that range. So it'll do that pairing all the way down. So this one will be equal to these two here, right? But it won't give you the full range there. It won't automatically expand. In order to do that, here's our little clever way of doing that. We do an equal. We say we want to take the current that we did in February, the 83,000, plus what we did up to February, which is the running total. Look at that, see? So you're kind of doing the diagonal here. So when you go to copy this down, it's always going to be whichever one you're on. It's always going to be this one plus the one above it. It's always going to be that diagonal. See that? So when we go ahead, hit the enter key, it comes out. So that's, even though that's adding up this and this, it's almost like adding up that, all right? You can see down here, 169. Now, we can then take that and we can go ahead and copy that all the way down to December. And we'll know that this came out correctly because this number and this number both match. That's the key. Now, if later on, let's say maybe February, we were wrong, it was actually 55,000, all right? Well, by changing that, that's going to change that, and all the way down. Okay, now if you imagine the old days when you did this on paper, what kind of mess that would have been, especially if you had thousands of rows on paper and you needed to change thousands of formulas going down, every one of them. That's why you saw those guys in the accounting departments, if you ever see like old movies and stuff, and there's all these guys in these white shirts with these adding machines going cha-chun, cha-chun, cha-chun. All these guys. Now, here we are. We're to a point with a spreadsheet. I was telling my dad, who used to run an accounting department in a Chicago company. He retired many years ago, back in the 70s, right before all this happened. And I told him one day, I said, you know, I said, back then you had hundreds of people in your department that you were overseeing. I said, now what's going to end up happening is there's probably some kid that they hired as an intern working out of a converted closet running your entire department on spreadsheets. And he agrees. That's probably what's happening, you know. Anyway, so you change that. You change that one little number there. Look at this. Boom. All those numbers change. I might have to make column I a little bit wider, so double click that. But what a great little tool. Now, that was the one way of doing it, and that would be the traditional, just regular formula type way. The other way is using the sum function, and we cover all of the functions in module 5 of our videos for Excel. So you might, once you get done with these videos, take a gander at that, because there's just a ton of stuff out there for you. And actually, I've got this same example using what I'm about to show you in that video. So here you get a little bit early, okay? So what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to get rid of all of these formulas there. We'll just delete them out of there, all right, just to get them out of our way. So here's how this is going to work. Now, if by the time I get done with this, if you say to yourself, Chip, I don't even know what you said, then just go back to the way I showed you originally how to do this, okay? But I'm going to tell you, it's not that hard. You have to understand a certain principle as we go along here, and you'll see that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in this cell, and we're going to go to home here, and we're going to hit the auto sum. So you make sure you're here, right? Go to home, hit your auto sum, and it does that. Now, right when you do that, on your keyboard, you're going to hit the colon. For you guys out there, that's the two periods on top of one another, okay? Now, at that point, it's adding up I3 through I3. That's what it's doing. Well, okay. We're going to nail in this side of the formula, the I3, the first I3. We're going to make this what they call absolute. And what that means is that when we go to copy this down, the I3, this first one, will stay nailed in as I3, but this I4 will expand to, or I3 I should say, will expand to I4, I5, I6, I7. So in essence, as it's being copied down, this is expanding itself, adding up these two for this one, these three for this one, these four for this running total, these 5 for this running total, and so forth, right? Now, to get that to be nailed in, what we do is we click on to the first I3. Now, when you click it once, they all want to be selected. But you click it again, then it just locks in just on that cell. Now, it doesn't matter if you're in between it like this, or if you're there, or if you're there, doesn't matter, right? Once you're in any of those three positions, you take your finger, and on your keyboard, you hit the F4 function key. That's the one that says F4 on it, right? You hit that, and it puts dollar symbols behind the I and the 3. That makes it absolute. That makes it so when you copy it down, that will continually say or be I3. The other I3 will change to I4 and I5. So now, once you've done that, you hit the Enter key. There you go. So it's just adding up that one, because it's adding up I3 through I3, right? But when you copy it down, I'll just go down one just so you can see this. I'll go down one like this. Now this one, when I copied it, that stayed I3, but now this is I4, meaning I3 and I4 are being summed up, right? Well, when I go to copy this all the way down to December and let go, voila. So now, if I look at even the very last one here, what does that say? It's I3, meaning this one, through I14, meaning this one here. So it constantly this kept on adding 1 to itself as we kept on copying it down. Isn't that great? What a great little tool there, right? So hopefully this made some sense, and you can maybe apply this to some of your worksheets that involve, any time of a time element, you have that right in there, to compare. That's a great thing. It doesn't make much sense if you had like Chip, Kathy, and Susan. You're going, oh, through Susan we did, 410,000. It's like, well, what does that mean? Right? But if you say through the first quarter, for the first quarter, we did almost $300,000. That makes sense to people, right? Okay, so hopefully this helps you, and hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll be doing more as you watch. Take care.